the Sounders get a pretty good 3-1 win against Antigua. It was kind of shaky. It didn't look clean, but we did what we had to do. And honestly, I don't have any complaints because that third goal sets the tie to bed. And by no means, again, was this a perfect performance, but I didn't expect a really glamorous performance by us. It was definitely gritty. It was sloppy, but we did what we had to do. We got a little bit lucky and fortunate with Antigua being Antigua, like not being, one of the better teams in this. But yeah, I think that's a good way to summarize it. So I'll leave the floor to you guys.
I would say any sort of you got to factor in first game of the year away in Concacaf. Like that's going to make for a sloppy game. A lot of guys had sloppy performances, but we did see a lot of good in my opinion. I think those mistakes will just naturally clean up over time. Um, I did like to see when Georgie came on. I thought Georgie looked very good. I thought Ariola looked very good. I would say he's probably my player of the match, to be honest with you. Just on both ends, he looked very good. Obviously, De La Vega had that deflected goal. His touch was a bit off, but I was glad to see his confidence. He did look very sharp compared to some of the games last season.
2 for 2 now, De La Vega on scoring on his first games of the season.
Yeah, hopefully more coming. And I think even like Ferreira didn't have the greatest performance, but he looked like he was connecting play. He was getting himself in good spots. Like I think the goals will come there too. And then Jordan Morris, it's about standard Jordan Morris early season performance, but I think overall didn't look the best, but it wasn't awful. It's just your typical first match of the season and away at Concacaf, so that does not help either.
Yeah, it does scare me a little bit how shaky our back line was, specifically in possession. Like, there were some bad turnovers throughout that game, which kind of scares me considering we have an MLS game this weekend.
Yeah.
But besides that, it was a basic CONCACAF game. Like, sloppy, gritty, terrible tackles, and these are the games that good teams find a way to win, right? Like, if we want to go on a CONCACAF run, we have to be able to pull out these games that even when we aren't at our best, we find a way to get 3 points, or in this case, a 3-1 win.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't flashy from us. I don't know if this is harsh to say, but I don't think we should look too much into this win. Like, I think we should just take it. Like, glad we won it, but I don't think we should take away anything. Be like, oh, like Sounders are gonna 100% be back this year. Like, we don't need to worry about goals. Like, I think context talks a lot about it. The first 2 goals were like heavy deflections, but I think more so with Pedro's goal than with Ariola's. You could see he has confidence in taking that strike because obviously you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if Pedro doesn't want to rip one, he's not confident in himself to do that, then he's not going to take the shot. But he was confident in himself. He backed himself. He got it on his right foot. He took the shot. He scored. I did really like, I see people commenting this because this is, we're talking about this during the live stream, is the depth. We brought on subs, and if anything, I think the subs looked a lot better than the players that played majority of the game. I know Brody was talking about Morris didn't really look that inspiring. You bring in Georgie, you brought on Rusnak, it looked a lot better, and obviously they connected pretty swiftly and easily for that third goal. So all in all, I don't think there's much to look into for it. I feel it's kind of, I don't know, felt a little bit like a preseason game to me. Yeah, but we were able, like, it almost like we seemed nonchalant. We're like, yeah, we scored good. So, like, you even saw Rusnak scored the third. Technically, I mean, that was the goal that probably put this tie to bed, but he's just kind of like, yeah, I scored it, whatever. And then just kind of, and so that's why I think it's good and it's nice. Unlike last time we were in this tournament, our first leg away in Central America, it ended 0-0, and it was a lot less inspiring this time around. It was a lot more inspiring, in my opinion. But I think the real test comes to Charlotte this weekend, a competitor that a lot of people are predicting to be one of the top teams in the East next year because of the personnel they're bringing in or brought in.
Yeah, that's gonna be the real test. I think it'll be interesting because I mean, going from who we were defending against tonight to defending against Wilfred Zaha are so
2
many
different
levels
things,
above
polar
where
opposites.
Yeah, so that definitely scares me a bit, but I don't know. I'm hoping that being at home on the turf in possession will look a lot better, in our own element. But the defensive side, the amount of times when we had the ball, when we switched that kind of like that 3-back, and we were just so open, the thought of Zaha on the counterattack definitely scares me a bit. So we'll have to see. Saturday will be interesting.
Yeah, and maybe we don't clean up every mistake this next game, but I don't expect this sloppy play to continue. We're such a typically we're one of the most organized defenses. We're typically very, very well coached. Like this is not something I'm worried about long term. And yeah, maybe it can affect these games coming up, but this we've basically already won this tie with Antigua, and then Charlotte. It is a tough game. It's not a game you can just say that okay, we're gonna go ahead and win this game. You can't just mark it on the calendar as a win, but I think we'll be good, and like you brought up with the depth, like I think no matter if it's the lineup we ran out today, or if we put Rusnak in, or even Georgia and stuff like that, I loved what we saw from our depth, and even when things weren't going well this game, to pull out 3 goals is still like something that I'm keeping note of.
It's kind of unorthodox of us from last year.
Yeah, that's like because there's games where things were going very well for us and we couldn't buy a goal, but things are going not very smoothly for us today. We find 3 goals. Like I think that's something to take a positive spin from. And I'm looking forward to see how we can, at home, like J. Ross said, in our own environment, on a pitch we're used to playing on. Hopefully, we can control the game and just look a lot more sharp. Hopefully,
I will say though, to play devil's advocate counter argument, definitely the quality of opponent we played today, I think helps with why, even though we didn't play that well, we were able to get those goals. So that definitely does help.
yeah,
But I don't mind for what J. Ross said and what you said, Brody. If we want to make these mistakes now, that's fine, as long as it doesn't carry on. But I've seen in the past, we're like, okay, yeah, we were able to advance against X team in the early rounds of the USL, but we did look a little bit sloppy. Let's not translate it on. And we ended up sometimes doing that defensively. So now get the kinks out of the way, get the problems out of the way, and not have this happen. Because from here on out, in my opinion, I think after you advance against Antigua, that's when the CONCACAF Champions League really begins. This is kind of like
yeah,
I wouldn't even say the appetizer, maybe like the bread before the appetizer at Cheesecake Factory. Like it gives you that
yeah.
little taste and that hope of like, okay, things are going to be pretty good today before the real deal comes up.